Welcome back to the broadcast of Your Next Move Grand Chess Tour here in Leuven, Belgium, where round 4 is about to begin. This is Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson, I'm International Master Anna Rudolph. We have seen so many interesting things like blunders, also some weird openings, some players in shape, others are not that much in shape, so there's a lot to talk about. Let's see the pairings for this round. What do you think, Jan? Which game shall we focus on?
There is one game which I'm not sure it has El Clasico status already, but it's certainly going to get there in the future. It's Carlsen against Caruana.
El Clásico would be in Spanish.
They have had many a battle with mixed results. Fabiano is certainly one of the guys who can also beat Magnus, even though he still has a minus score. And even though they've tried to escape the sort of dull territories that the Berlin sometimes brings with it, we have a very similar structure. Carlsen played this line which has become a bit fashionable, 5d3. The main idea is to avoid the open Spanish, which Fabiano started playing castles, knight takes e4. And after d3, Caruana played bishop c5. Most guys prefer b5 followed by bishop c5. And the idea is to avoid the very line that happened in the game after bishop c5. Now Carlsen takes on c6, d takes c6. And I'll be done with my opening survey in a second, but now we get a structure that is very similar to the Berlin. The only difference is actually that the pawn is on a6 instead of a7, which doesn't really benefit black much. Therefore, slightly surprised Fabi didn't throw in b5. But of course, having said all that, this is still a very solid position for black. We'll see if Magnus manages to pose any problems.
Yeah, we also have for this round Anna Nakamura. Nakamura, the winner of Paris Grand Chess Tour and suffering here in Belgium. He has started with 3 defeats.
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise indeed. While Vichy must be feeling good about himself after saving this position a piece down last game against Caruana. As for the opening, it is another anti-Berlin. We always get a slightly different line. At least Hikaru prefers a move rook e8 here instead of d6, the main line, but rook e8 also, well-established move. The idea, as we can see in the game in some lines, is to put this pawn to d5 in one go instead of going d6. I used to think this is perfectly fine for black because you've achieved this d5, and I learned if you get on d5 you have no problems.
Isn't his pawn on d4 already? I think he has just pushed d4. Is that possible? Are we behind?
No, it's all good. But after b5, bishop b3, this knight on c6 is still a bit of a cause for concern, and therefore Nakamura opts for a change of structure immediately by playing d4. This leads to more double-edged play. I'm not sure about theory. I believe a4 is a move here. There's also the typical idea of takes, takes, knight takes, and let's say bishop takes, knight to f3, which here might not do anything special after bishop g4. So we'll see how Vichy reacts to this. Both guys should be comfortable with the position. A lot of play ahead.
Yeah, bishop c2 is on the board, as you mentioned. They still know this position very well. And we will see later on if there's anything going on in the middle game. For sure, it's going to be an interesting game. And Vichy Anand will try to win it with white. Nakamura, as we mentioned, is not finding his best shape, although there are many rounds left. So, of course, he can pull himself together and start playing the best of his chess, as we saw it in Paris.
Yeah, let's have a look at So Aronian. Wesley So, I'm not sure about his score so far. Did he draw his 3 games? He tends to fly a bit under the radar, but he's very, very hard to beat, especially in rapid. He rarely loses games to these guys. And
also in Paris, he was very stable. I think he was the one that did not blunder anything. He just had a very decent score. And yes, he drew all 3 games.
I'm thrilled that he plays a line which, speaking of very solid, which I recommended in a video series, it's the Nimzonian Queen c2 castles, and now the move knight to f3, which is very solid indeed. The main line is c5, dc, knight a6, g3, but there black is pretty much only playing for a draw. That's not what Levon has in mind, so Levon goes d5. We get a strange hybrid of this so-called Ragozin opening, which is a position without castles, and queen c2. Here, Wesley stops following my great recommendations. I wanted this and this, but he goes for bishop to g5 immediately.
So we shall immediately tell him to watch your video series right after the game.
I'm not so sure how much I can teach him when it comes to theory, if I'm being perfectly frank. But This line, I guess it's known to Levon, it's not known to me. D takes c, queen takes c4, and bishop to d7, offering the c7 pawn. Well, yeah, I'm curious what happens after queen c7, actually. My guess would be that the idea is to just play bishop c6 and develop as quickly as possible. This could be a threat. So let's see if Wesley decides to grab the pawn. If he wants to stay super solid, he can go g3, bishop g2, or e3, bishop e2, when Aronian would probably follow up with, I don't know, bishop c6, knight d7, rook c8. Maybe a tiny white edge, but black is quite solid.
Yeah, Aronian is walking around the playing hall just like Vladimir Kramnik. He seems to be very comfortable and trying to forget what happened to him in the previous round against his friend Veselin.
Kramnik.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also walking by and playing against Maxim Vachier-Lagrave with the black pieces. He is still...
Yeah, it's the same line we've seen earlier. There's always small nuances changed for these guys to keep themselves entertained by Vichy or by MVL. Against Vichy, we've seen this line, I believe, and this time around he decides to do it without h3, goes queen b3. Kramnik goes bishop h5 anyway. Not sure what that's about. And now MVL goes a4. Kramnik plays bishop a5. I haven't seen that move much. Certainly makes sense, putting pressure on the white construction. Kramnik probably happy he got in his idea. That's why he's going for a little stroll there. Bishop f1, rook to b8. Doesn't look like a world-beating plan if you have to play rook b8, but Kramnik, he has ideas on all these lines, so I would never underestimate his opening.
It's not so easy to develop the pieces for white, thanks to this bishop on a5.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have to make some clumsy move like rook e3. If you do, then black could start thinking about d5, because this rook looks a little funny, and also you want to parry the threat of knight c4. But I guess MVL is also considering more aggressive measures, such as e5 directly here. But black's position is very, very resilient, so I don't know, takes knight d5. I'm sure Kramnik knows all this stuff, and he's found yet another way to play with this immediate bishop h5, bishop a5. Not surprised by MVL's cunning, but e5 is on the board. Should become a sharp game.
We also have Giri against Topalov.
Let's go there. Where's
And
Ani
so
shouting?
Aronian. Oh, yeah, we have seen that one. Giri Topalov was another
Yes.
Gioco Piano.
Yeah, the playing field is a bit limited with these guys. We see a lot of anti-Berlins and Italians, or Gioco Pianos, however it's pronounced, with this stuff slightly different. Move order this time around. Topalov doesn't go for a6, bishop a7. But I see the audience is a bit sleepy already. If I tell them more about nuances, when to play a6 and when not to in the Italian, we'll lose them all. So yeah, Topalov is trying to do without this a6 stuff, has some drawbacks, has some pluses as well, and especially after knight f1, which I'm a bit surprised by Giri, because now black can put his bishop on b6, as Topalov does. He's stopping all these b4, a4 ideas, and he might save half a tempo compared to a6, bishop a7. Normally the problem with bishop b6 is that the white knight jumps to c4 quickly
Yeah, but
and
it cannot be
chops
the
it off.
case anymore, so...
But after knight f1, this makes perfect sense, and I believe Veselin handled the opening very well here. Knight g3, knight a5, forcing this bishop to exchange itself, and looks to me like black is doing perfectly fine.
Yeah, Veselin, who is among the leaders.
White could go d4, but then even if black just goes knight c6 back, I don't think white has achieved anything much. d5 is normally a good structure for black with his bishop so active, so I'm not sure. Maybe it's all theory and I'm talking nonsense, but to me it looks like black is doing fine, and yeah, d4, knight c6 is on the board. What's his position in Carlsen Caruana? It looks interesting.
b5 has just been played. Let's see how they reach that position.
Yeah, it's a standard maneuver. This looks surprising the first time you see it, but it's actually a very typical plan. Knight d7, c5, knight b8, knight c6 to get a grip on that d4 square. a4, knight c6, a5, also kind of typical, but now the board starts lighting up a little bit.
b5, so, well, we either capture it or go back with the knight What is typical here? Because I don't know this variation. How shall I
I'm not
play?
sure. Like, I guess normally you want to take. But here, it looks to me like black is quite comfortable, actually. He can get in f6 and knight d4, and I don't really see any particular problems. But if you retreat, it feels like you've lost a lot of time, and the knight is still coming to d4.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be right.
Yeah, no, it feels like Fabiano solved his opening problems. Yeah, Magnus took on b6, cb, and now he has to do something. f4 is the typical break, but it feels mistimed here. Let's say ef. If bishop f4, there's queen d4 check, and if rook f4, bishop f6 looks a little awkward to me, with problems on this diagonal.
Yeah, doesn't look nice. Maybe he should prepare f4 somehow, but knight d4 is coming anyway, I believe.
Yeah, Fabiano is very comfortable here. Has solved his opening problems, and I don't know. Maybe this plan a4, a5 is too slow in this particular position. Doesn't look like things have gone well for Magnus. Just as I said that the structure after d5 is perfectly fine for black, Anish Giri does it. Didn't have a great choice though. If he keeps doing nothing, then black will break with d5 himself and solve all his problems. So yeah, I believe the opening hasn't been a success for Anish in this game, and these positions, I find them easier to play with black. You have this f5 break, even moves
Yeah,
like
you
knight
just focus
h7.
on the king side and forget about the queen side.
Yeah, but white is not very far on the queen side either, so it's not like we've made many concessions there. That's why I think, yeah, this has not been an opening success for the always well-prepared Anish Giri.
What do you think about the players? Do you think that by this stage are they already more tired? Because they've actually played 3 rounds already of rapid chess. It started at 2 and now it's almost 7 o'clock.
I
How
don't
much
know.
of an effect it will be?
I'm tired and I have hardly done any thinking, as anybody who's watched the show will be able to confirm. So I do believe this is a tough schedule with a 25-10 and 5 rounds per day. Fabiano just mentioned he's not very tired even by the last round, but
Well,
he's
we know
also
that they are not
young
humans,
and fit.
they are cyborgs.
I don't know, Fabi might be a cyborg, but some of the other guys there are human, and we've seen it the other day, so I don't know. It's the first day, they've had a bit of rest after Paris, so they should be all right, but it's certainly a pretty tough schedule with 27 games of chess in 4 days.
That's true. Magnus doesn't seem to be very fresh to me, but maybe it's just my impression. Vasilisa, on the other hand, always seems to be the same. The same facial expression no matter how many games he has played and no matter if he's winning, losing.
Yeah, Wesley has a great poker face. I find him inscrutable, very hard to read what Wesley's up to. And Fabiano, to me, he looks a little tired. He said he doesn't get
He's
tired, but
yawning right now, so I
he does
guess
look
he's
tired.
tired.
Come on, Fabi. Whom are you kidding?
Yeah, I guess they are getting tired. It's normal. So we might see more mistakes. That's good news for the show. More action on the board. Bishop d2 has been played by the world champion.
Yeah, he can't be enjoying himself all that much. This is
Yeah.
a great scenario for black. I believe he's trying to make a waiting move, and then he wants to meet f6 with f4. Maybe that's why he went bishop d2 to defend his knight on c3 against his queen d4 check.
Might be his plan, and also sometimes you can have this e3 square for the knight.
Oh yeah, you could actually, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he wants to go knight e3, directly fighting for this square. Black could stop that with knight b4, but then maybe you go here and you do some, at least damage control might be a stretch, but at least you equalize if you're able to capture this bishop, because this structure tends to be pleasant for white because he gets his e4 square. So bishop d2, smart little maneuver by Magnus, preparing knight e3 or f4. Still think Fabi has to be perfectly fine here with his 2 bishops. Yeah, he has to find a good plan here. What do we call these guys, by the way? Do we have nicknames for all the players? I never
Yeah,
know
we
what to
shall
call
definitely
Fabiano.
give them nicknames.
I called him Fabster during the Paris show, but people started
Fabster.
yelling at me like, you can't do that. So I'm back to Fabi or Fabiano, but I don't know. What do you suggest?
I guess we all call him Fabi, but we should start giving them like really fancy nicknames. Maybe like in boxing, they should have some scary names. Fabi the...
Fabi might not look that scary, but
Yeah.
I'm doing constant research if Fabiano or Anish Giri is the best pound-for-pound chess player in the world. I don't know, Fabiano looks quite skinny to me this time around, so he might be the best pound-for-pound player at the moment.
Might be. I think we should check that out with them in a gym and weight them. But yeah, I believe it's Anish. He seems to be winning.
You think Anish weighs less than Fabiano?
I think so. Although he's taller, isn't
Possible.
he?
He is taller. He's deceptively tall.
Does the watch count, by the way?
Fabiano was trying to fight back with a big watch of his own there, but Anish is probably heavier. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not very good at nicknames. And Magnus somehow, he's a world champion, so we can't call him the Kid or something anymore. It's
Yeah, he's the Viking.
Viking, maybe.
I think I've seen people calling them like that, but calling Magnus like that. But actually, we have a great Chess24 community talking in the chat on chess24.com. So I think we don't even need to think. We just give out the task of giving nicknames to all the participants of Your Next Move Grand Chess Tour, and we will just pick some of the suggestions.
Yeah. Vishy has a nickname, even though I'm not even sure if Vishy can be called a nickname. Everybody's been calling him Vishy forever. What's
Hutch
going
Lover
on
is
in the
saying that
position?
Fabi is the babyface slasher.
That somehow sounds wrong.
Yeah, let's just wait for more suggestions and see what's going on the board.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if Vishy is better here or not. Can't really make up my mind. He has a reasonably simple plan of doubling rooks on the c-file, putting pressure on the c5 pawn. But Black has a very healthy structure, and if Hikaru does the same thing... Hikaru forces the issue with c4, which is also logical. Yeah, Hikaru doesn't want any of that business. Goes c4. And yeah, he's actually perfectly fine. Kind of missed this. d4, knight c4, rook c4. Actually, it feels like white is the one who has to be a little careful after, let's say, rook c4. Should be equal, but I feel like, yeah. Knight
Yeah, it
d2.
seems like Nakamura doesn't want to have any more trouble. He switched his losing mode to getting normal positions. Just playing it
Sounds like
safe,
a plan.
finally.
Yeah, Vishy's thinking after c4. I'm not quite sure about what. Maybe he's contemplating this pawn structure, which looks a bit ugly. But on the other hand, no, he
He
takes
has
on b6.
taken on b6, so it's going to be the position you've just showed.
DC, and yeah, bit of a decision here for Hikaru. Looked to me like rook c4 puts more pressure than knight c4, because after knight c4 you just go rook c2, then rook c1 next move, and the position becomes very dry. But rook c4, there might still be some problems to be solved. Because after knight d2, yeah, rook d4, as I mentioned, okay, it should still be equal somehow, but white has to pay some attention. We'll see what Hikaru settles on. Wesley So decided not to test Levon's preparation with queen takes c7, but instead went for a solid setup, and Levon went rook c8, hinting at c5, interesting. And only after queen b4 he went here.
This seems to be just fine for Black.
Yeah, looks like Black should solve his problems, either b6, c5, or even e5, and it should be equal. MVL Kramnik is a weird structure.
But it is weird. How did it all happen? And the rook on b5?
Yeah, e5, Kramnik went here immediately, rook d1, trying to unpin this knight so he can jump around either here or here. d c6.
See the players there on the camera as well.
Yeah, and Kramnik decided to force the issue by going b5, weakening his pawn structure but activating his rook. Takes in queen a3.
Well,
Oh,
the
no,
a7
b5 is very
pawn
committal.
seems to be very weak.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that decision. Rook g5, a7 is weak. Doesn't look like white has any problems developing, and
Yeah.
also potentially there could be some tricks against this rook on b5.
Definitely not the best location for the rook, and also I don't like the spin on the d file. So yeah, weird decision, pushing b5, weakening the pawn structure.
Yeah, I'm sure he has his reasons, but I also can't figure it out. we'll see how it goes. Hikaru did recapture on c4 with the rook, and yeah, Vishy has to defend here for a bit. How do you do that? This looks natural, but yeah, this. And now you have to calculate some line. Oh no, knight f3, rook e4, rook c6.
Maybe that's the way, but even then, after knight c4,
Yeah, it feels like things could go wrong, certainly.
it's not an easy position for Vishy Anand. But I guess after having survived a position with a piece down, this position is just really nothing. For him,
Yeah.
it's easy.
No, he should hold, but Hikaru playing very sensible chess for sure. Anish is trying to equalize after the position. Yeah, the opening didn't go well for him. He, I believe correctly, decided to get rid of this bishop, and now he's offering an exchange of rooks. If all the material disappeared from the board, White could maybe even claim a tiny edge because of his extra space. But I'm not sure Veselin is obliged to go along with that.
Let's not forget that Anish is on 3 out of 6, so he must strive to make a draw in this round and keep it like that.
Yeah, I don't think he hates plus scores necessarily, but minus scores he certainly does not like very much. Yeah, no moves there. Let's check back in with Magnus.
Oh, it had changed quite a lot since we saw it. Bishop d2 was the last move we discussed, b5 and knight b4.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, stopping knight to d5, knight e2, and bishop g5. Directed against f4, but it still happened. Takes. a5. Fabiano, yeah, he's trying to put pressure, preparing to build a passed pawn here. In some cases, bishop c3. I don't know, I like Black's position, but I'm not sure if he's better or anything. Maybe Magnus has enough activity to keep the balance, but no more than that.
Interesting position. It's like, I don't know, I wish I could have some nice knight jumps there with the e3 knight and the f4 knight, but it seems to be under control.
Yeah, the two bishops should be able to keep them in check. No, I believe Fabiano is perfectly fine, but he has to decide what he wants to do here. I think you can always play such a position, but here, yeah, you're really not better. And he can, or should, think about a4, just trying to build a passed pawn. He's done neither of these things.
What did he play?
Instead, he went knight to c6 back, and knight ed5. He decided, okay, it's less scary to allow a knight to d5 than having his own knight misplaced. And if he wants to get rid of it, he can take here, forcing knight takes, when the position should still be, guess, roughly equal. Knight to d4. No reason why Fabi should be in trouble here. Let's go back to Topalov, who is one of our co-leaders.
Exactly. After his Paris results, this is a surprise that he started to be in good shape. He really forgot about the Paris event and now is one of the leaders.
Yeah, he's mentioned that the older he gets, the easier it becomes to forget his past results and start fresh, which, of course, it's half tongue-in-cheek, but there's still some truth to it. He's very good at recovering from bad days or losses or bad results. And he was already catching some fire during the Paris Blitz. Looks like he's found his mojo so far today. He's brought it. Played rook ed8.
b3, it doesn't change much. Yeah, this is likely to lead to a draw, although as you have mentioned, more space for white means that in an endgame he could try to play for something.
Yeah, I'd like to play g6 with black, but that always runs into f4 ideas. And since this knight is now hanging, you have to be very, very careful with the timing, or maybe just resist the temptation. Would be, I guess, a nice move to make to stop knight f5 for good, but probably not the brightest idea.
Knight g6 was played by Topalov.
which also makes sense. If knight g6, then fg, and you have this square covered, while if the knight jumps to f5, then at least one of the knights had to commit to it, and black also activates his knight. Yeah, I still believe black is perfectly fine, and probably Anish should take here. I don't know, do something, regroup his knight, but it doesn't feel like much.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to be the most exciting position of the day. Maybe it's more about Carlsen Caruana. Can we check once again the position?
Yep, Fabi put his knight to d4, doesn't feel the need to do either of these captures yet. I still believe he's fine.
Yeah, on the other hand, he can't really move the queen away from d8. This a5 pawn will always be in the air, so it's not that easy to improve his pieces.
No, it's true. Like, there's still the plans with going a4 if he feels the need. And either capture at least has to be taken into account. And general black doesn't want to go bishop takes d5. Whatever. Let's make a pass. Ever, because now white has an eternal knight on d5.
Queen h5 is on the board. Magnus Carlsen clearly has some plans. On the king side,
Yeah. Of course. First question is, can we be greedy? Assuming knight takes c2.
I
Yes,
guess
it's
his
too
idea is
greedy.
that, yeah, either that or I thought he just wanted to move the rook and then, oh, but the b3 pawn will be picked up too. Yeah, we better calculate. Queen e5, knight d4.
No, but there must be a problem here. Maybe queen c5. Knight a1, queen e5. Oh, but there's queen f6. I can't calculate, so... Nah. Poor Magnus, I'm blundering all his pieces. That's not the way to do it.
There must be something after knight takes
There should
c2
be
that we are
something.
missing. What if, does it make
Maybe
sense to
just
start with
brute
knight
force.
d6 and now, well, Still doesn't feel like the most critical line. We are missing something, I'm pretty sure. But what is it?
Oh no, let's find out. No, there's no win.
No? I was even looking at things like, I don't know, bishop g7, queen e5, knight h5, but I guess I'm not giving mate.
Yeah.
And my
Probably
queen will
not.
be exchanged on d4, that's the
That's
problem,
the
I
problem,
think.
yeah.
Would have been nice with the king on h1, maybe it could have worked.
No, it's possible to grab that, but not sure if Fabi wants to, because you really have to be sure nothing works here for white. And even if nothing works, it's not like white is taking any big risks, like, let's say. How do we do this?
He captured on f4,
Yeah, as you should.
and we will see if he will go for the pawn.
Yes, also rook takes f4. Knight f4 is not the only move. Maybe that is Magnus's intention. But, nah, I guess it isn't. Just bishop d5, ed, and even g6 looks fine. Knight e2 check is in the air. If you go to g4 or d1, this queen takes d5. So no, this is not his idea. He has to go knight takes f4. Or bishop d4 first, but I doubt it. He's going to go knight
Knight
f4.
takes f4 has been played by Magnus Carlsen. Let's see if Fabi wants to grab the pawn.
He's greedy, or well, not greedy really. He trusts his calculation. If
Yeah,
he
I
can't see
wanted to say the
refutation.
same, that he calculates very well, so if he doesn't see any refutation, he will go for knight takes c2. There must be another wedding, or I don't know why there's a bell each
I don't know. Where I'm
15
from, there's a
minutes,
bell every
half an
50
hour.
minutes. Like, it's what church bells do. It's 7.
Yeah, but before it was like 7:15 and 6:30 and
Yep. It's every 50 minutes.
yeah, we'll soon see if he captures, or shall we stick to this moment?
Yeah, I believe this is the moment of the tournament. Will Caruana
Might
take
be.
on
He
c2
did not
or make
capture the
another
pawn.
move?
He played queen d6, protecting the
another
pawn on
move.
c5.
Also perfectly sensible move, just stabilizing.
Yeah, why not?
Getting out of any 96 with tempo, defending this guy.
Also, there will be no queen e5, so now he is really threatening knight takes c2.
Yeah, I still think it's equal. 96 or bishop d4, whatever makes you happy. I don't think there's time to grab this guy. This pawn is
Not
more
really.
important.
The c2 pawn is, as you mentioned, way more important because it's just holding the whole pawn chain together. So the b3 and d3 pawn are depending on the c2 pawn.
No, black is fine, and Magnus gonna have to dig very deep to pose any significant problems here. Because also such a known structure to these guys because they play this kind of stuff out of the Berlin a lot with both colors.
Magnus doesn't seem to be very happy though, with his position.
Yeah.
Some awkward gestures.
I'm not sure if Anish is very happy with his position. Probably he's also not that thrilled. King to f1, I guess, to keep all these entry squares covered. But yeah, I don't know. If black wants to equalize, knight h5 is certainly possible, or g5 seems to.
Yeah, and then
Prepare
knight
this.
h5, you can exchange the knights or just keep it there. Never allow the white knight leave the e2 square. What about MVL against Vladimir Kramnik? Is something going on there?
I don't know. Let's check. I've seen in the Your Next Move trailer that MVL is the fastest, smartest, strongest mind on the planet, if I'm not mistaken. So we should switch to him a little more often. Well, poor Kramnik, he was just one of the world's top 10 players. That's it's nothing compared to MVL's line.
And who was live in Belgium? Or there was no player picture there?
Yeah, I don't think there was a player. Leuven means lion, right?
Really?
In German, it's lion.
I didn't know.
I think so. Or lions, it's probably plural. Anyway, the position.
Is this just a pawn up?
It's
For
a pawn
their
up,
bishops
but is
and
it
the very
just
open
a pawn
king side.
is the question. For starters, if black wants his pawn back, probably you can go here, right? If queen d7, which feels sensible, looks like everything gets exchanged.
And the a5 pawn will drop, but also the b2 pawn.
I don't know if you can get away with queen g5, but it does feel wrong, too dangerous. Yeah, I don't believe in this.
Yeah, also having pushed g4. I guess that's the way he won the pawn, but it's a move you can never take back.
It's a problem with pawns. It'd be so much better if you could play g4, g2.
Let's suggest some new rules to FIDE.
So how did he get the pawn? He took on e7 and a petite combinaison.
No, so it was not the
No,
g4
this
move,
is my.
but yeah. Rook e8 is on the board and queen d7, so they will exchange all the pawns. It seems like this game is heading for a draw.
Yeah, unless the blunders some trick here. No, I don't think so. No.
This should be a draw. Rook a5, bishop takes b2, and soon a handshake.
Yeah, not much here. Probably also not much going on in the Wesley So Aronian game. Rook c1. Can you go rook a2? Or it might be 6 maybe.
Now, this is a very peaceful round here in Leuven. All the other rounds had
after all
some
the
very
blundering.
exciting games, blunders, and now very solid games.
Yeah, the players are taking not really time out, but they're trying to play it safe, have some energy in the last round, and also it's a bit the pairings. It's not easy to put any pressure on Vladimir Kramnik when he's playing the Berlin, or on Fabiano Caruana playing the Berlin. Levon Aronian also got in a very solid line. Hikaru Nakamura has played the Berlin and played very sensibly, probably trying to stop the bleeding for now, recover, get a half point on the board.
That's a good idea, and then start to build on that. So.
And yeah, he's certainly not gonna lose this game. It looks like Vichy has defended quite well here, rook c2. I was expecting rook d8, he didn't go for this. Instead played f6, but now white could just bring the king, and yeah. This should just be a draw. These weaknesses cancel each other out, so yeah. Should end peacefully. Anish's game should also end peacefully. With two queens so active, one of those is gonna give perpetual. And normally the players can choose who gives the perpetual and who gets perpetualized.
Perpetualized?
I don't know what the word is. To receive perpetual
Yeah,
check.
they can decide with the flip of a coin who will get that. But yeah, this is a draw. We hopefully will have finally Anish Giri joining us. They have agreed on a draw. And we hope to have Anish as a guest because in the previous round we wanted him to talk about his really nice victory against Hikaru Nakamura.
He still hasn't been here? Feels
No,
like
he
he's
hasn't been here,
No, he
so
hasn't.
you did not have a chance to once again criticize his watch.
No, that's the reason he's not coming. I'll be nothing but complimentary of his watch. It is a nice watch, it's just too big. We'll get into it. You can also continue your superstitions interview.
Definitely, I will make a summary and also some percentages who is superstitious, if it's about clothes, if it's about objects, anything else like, I don't know, going to the same restaurant, having a walk in the same neighborhood. There are so many things you can be superstitious about.
I just have to check. This is creamer. It looked like cocaine, so I got a little scared there for a second, but I believe it's just coffee creamer, so I should be safe. Else,
Youngest is
if
having
I-
his special coffee here. You
If
will
my
be
confidence grows in the next hour, you'll know what's up.
It did look suspicious, and it still
That's
looks
what I'm saying,
suspicious
yeah.
there. What are you having, Jan?
We'll find out. Yeah, something went wrong there. What's going on? Anything going wrong for Wesley So? Is he in trouble? Nah.
I think
too
no
solid.
one
The
is
knight comes to
really in
D3.
trouble. At least it seems
this
a
gonna
very
be 5
peaceful
draws?
round. Yeah, this will be the first round when all the games might end in a draw.
Well, I think we need to rely on
Carlsen Caruana, we can always
these
rely on
guys.
them.
Carlsen took on a5, even though I just said this pawn is a lot less important than the c2
we
pawn.
did not want to give up the c2 pawn. What is his point?
I don't know. Oof.
I really don't understand why would you want to exchange the a5 pawn for the c2 pawn.
Yeah. Nothing bad has happened, but it doesn't look like white is better. And oh, Fabiano did not take on c2, he went b4. He's going after the bishop, so seems like we might get a little action.
Finally something going on, because this really seemed to be a boring round, but now thanks to this bishop takes a5 and b4, the bishop might end up badly on a5.
Yeah, still not in immediate danger of getting captured. But interesting decision to go b4 and not take on c2. And Magnus, does he look a little surprised? Concerned?
I think so. Deep breath, and then he's like, yeah, he will capture on e6. Knight takes e6 is on the board. Now Fabiano Caruana has a lot of options, but I believe some of them are just bad. Like queen takes e6, dropping the c5 pawn.
Yeah, I would expect him to take with the knight here. There you go. Covering c5, which makes it a pawn sacrifice, but also keeps his bishop locked out. And white has to start worrying about queen a6.
Rook a8 is also in the air. Queen d5 has been played by the world champion.
What is going on?
What if queen a6, rook a1 he has to play?
Does look like it.
Oh, this doesn't look nice, but on the other hand, the queen on d5 is very powerful. I just don't like this bishop at all on a5.
Yeah, weird position. Can I do this? Or no, you can just take, I guess. Fabi is weighing his options. No, he still has a lot of time. 10 minutes, 31 seconds, so no particular rush for the Fabster. Oh, no, I promise to stop saying that.
Yeah, this seems to be good. Queen a6. I was wondering if we have time for something very slow, but rook b8, rook b5. I wanted to grab that bishop. I guess it's too slow, but just to check out.
I'm not sure. Like back rank is still a little weak.
Yeah, I was worried about that, so we would have to play maybe a6.
And yeah, this queen a6, rook a1 is on the board. This became a lot sharper because if white manages to stabilize, then he can just be a pawn up. I don't know. King h2 or rook a4 threatening to move the bishop somewhere. So Fabiano has to find a way here to keep the pressure up. Maybe your plan is the right one.
But then rook a4, as you
can also
said,
start it
and the
immediately.
bishop can move. So we don't have time for rook b5, unfortunately. We have another result. Vishy Anand has drawn his game against Hikaru Nakamura. So this is the first half point Hikaru gets in this event. But I believe that this will start a streak of a better streak, not the one he had in the first 3 rounds, but he will start scoring and he will get quite many victories as well, I believe.
No, it's the right thing to do. If you have like a bad beginning like that, you have to stop the bleeding, put a solid draw on the board, and then regroup. So very sensible.
Yeah, next round he's white against Magnus Carlsen, so he has his chance to take a revenge for Paris, because he won the event, but he lost against Magnus several games.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Is anything happening in this So Aronian game? Nah.
This still seems to head for a draw. Maybe Vachier Kramnik has slightly changed since we last saw it.
Oh, Maxime won?
What?
What happened here? Queen d7?
Has he blundered?
I don't know. I just switched on the computer. It looks like probably I blundered. Because, yeah, I thought this exchanges all the material, but there's just f4, f5 picking at the bishop.
We don't. Oh, there it is. This is the game?
No, this is the game. Things weren't as easy as I thought, because I thought you just exchange everything, but you couldn't.
It was not possible to take on e5 because of the trapping of the bishop with f4, f5. We completely missed it. So instead of this, he had to play something that was not bishop e4, or bishop e4 was still okay?
This is the game. And here, after bishop e5, knight e5, rook cc7, he's under some pressure because it's not so easy to defend f7. But Kramnik, yeah, it's not his best day. He blundered a piece in one move, pretty much bishop d5, f4, and resigned. So yeah, that was a bit unnecessary. Like, he's worse here, but there are many moves you can.
Vladimir Kramnik blunders a piece again. He did that already against Veselin Topalov in a probably winning endgame, and now he blunders in a not such a pleasant position, but still bishop d5 is a huge mistake by the former world champion.
Yeah. Things have turned for Kramnik. Like, he started well in Paris, but then he lost a lot of blitz games on the second day.
Yeah, and his last day in Paris, exactly the second day.
Spirit.
He did not seem to start badly here, but these last 2 games were just horrible in terms of the result. He was playing very well against Topalov, and then he just blundered in one move.
Yep. I'm not sure. I think Fabiano might have overestimated this b4 idea, trapping the bishop. Like, it might be fine objectively, but it feels like his position is now much harder to play because he has something to prove. Well, Magnus has a pretty straightforward plan. Get the rook out of the way, free the bishop, convert the extra pawn. And it's not obvious to me like what Fabiano should be doing about it. The computer says the position is equal, which, as mentioned, I just switched it on h6, rook a4, and whatever random moves, or to my eyes, knight f4, and no problems. But that's not so easy to come up with over the board.
Does
I
feel
also
like
don't
it's
get
just
it.
a pawn up and also queen takes c5. What's wrong with that?
Ah, no, the computer is tricky. Queen g6 and
And
counterplay.
there's no queen f2 because of knight takes h3, winning the queen. So this could be problematic. Knight f4.
Yeah, but this is completely random. You don't play this as a
Yeah.
human. And here, I don't know. Okay, this is the wonderful world of computer lines with 0-0, but he's not going to do that. So I believe he has some troubles.
This isn't going to end in a draw.
Practically.
Magnus Carlsen, if he wins his game, then he will join the leaders because we have Veselin Topalov with 5 out of 8 and Vishy Anand 5 out of 8. The two have drawn their games now in round 4.
Two oldest dudes, right? Or I'm not sure if Kramnik or Topalov
Yeah,
is
I
older.
think weren't they born in the same year, Topalov and Kramnik?
I don't know.
Vasiso and Levon Aronian have finished their game and it must have been a draw, I believe. If nothing changed, if there was no blunder.
Yeah, draw.
Draw. That leads to, well, not much changing in the standings because Vasiso and Levon Aronian, they were both on 50%. So it's all up to Magnus Carlsen if he can join the leaders by beating Fabiano Caruana in this strange but pawn-up position.
Yeah, Fabiano went for rook b8, intending rook b5. This looks like a very sensible move, just to put
Exactly,
the rook on a
and you are
defended
threatening
square.
bishop takes b4.
So the queen has to go somewhere, queen c8 apparently. Still not easy to ever free this bishop, but the problem is the other white pieces are quite active and the black resources are quite bound. Maybe Fabiano just has decided, okay, I'll go here and then I'll start doing nothing, whatever, queen d6, h6, and wait for white to come up with a plan to free himself. But
Yeah, it's
there
true
is
that even
hope.
after unpinning the bishop, there's no square for the bishop.
Yeah,
Just
maybe h6 was bad, maybe, I don't know, queen b7 to keep it
keep the
locked
bishop
up.
b6 away. Yeah, might be that even with a pawn up, if this bishop doesn't have a way to be activated, then it can still be just a draw or even better for black.
Yeah, I don't think it can ever be better for black, because black can't really activate either. Whenever this knight moves, c5 falls, and you need all your pieces to control these squares.
That's
But
true.
I'm not sure if
So
white
just
can find a
keeping
way
the
to open
position.
up.
This is the only game we have left, so all the others, as we have mentioned, ended in a draw. Giri Topalov, draw. Anand Nakamura, draw. Sol Aronian, draw. And the only decisive result of the round was Vachier against Kramnik, and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has just beaten Vladimir Kramnik after Kramnik's blunder.
Yeah, Kramnik, 2-piece blunders in a row, he won't be thrilled. Good news for him, it's only one more game today. But we still have these two guys on screen there, both very talented, upcoming young players, Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana.
And both very tired, it seems.
Yeah. Rook a4 has been played, which I'm sure was anticipated by Fabiano. And yeah, as mentioned, the best plan seems to me to be to do nothing, try to control these entry squares for the bishops and ask Magnus to find a plan, because while the rook does a useful job of being defended on a4, it doesn't really have great career opportunities unless something drastic happens, and should it have to return, you can return with your queen to a6 and ask white to find a new way to make progress.
Do you think we will have any guests? Because the players have finished a couple of minutes ago, and we hope to have them here in the commentary booth.
Speak for yourself. I don't like any of them as mentioned, but yeah, if they want to stop by, we'll put up with them for a couple minutes. But seriously, no, I don't have a clue. We'll see. I believe they're trying to save every last drop of energy
For
for
the
the
last
last
round of the
round
day.
because it's a long schedule. Like they started at 2, now it's 7:20, and they have one more game.
Still
so
one more game for today, which will begin at 8. And we also hope to have soon as a guest the organizer, the spirit behind the Grand Chess Tour, the everything of Grand Chess Tour, Malcolm Payne, who will join us shortly, we believe.
Will he? Once again, speak
Oh,
for
we
yourself
have
about
another
the
guest,
hopes.
I
but-
believe. It's Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. If he doesn't escape from the hall, he might escape. No, he did not. He is brave enough to join us. Congratulations, Maxime. We have a seat for you there.
How are things? We thought your game was balanced, but maybe it wasn't. You were better, yeah?
Yeah, I assume, at least practically speaking, it's much easier.
Sorry, Maxime. I think we might need to make you sit on the other chair so that people can see you. Thank you.
Let me just try to bring it up. How hard can it be? It's only 5.
Yeah,
Here we are.
no, the point is, practically speaking, it's much easier once my PCs get out and suddenly are all in the center, especially the knights. I mean, the only thing that's troubling me, of course, is this knight on d5, but it's not so easy to keep it.
Were you surprised he went b5, or do you have the feeling he has
A
to do
bit.
something?
I assumed he could just go queen d7, for instance. It seemed like a fairly normal move. And sometimes if I have to go g4, he can go maybe bishop g6 and h5, so I wasn't absolutely sure of my position there.
And then, close to the end, well,
Yeah,
Atomic blundered f4, I guess. But
I
is
saw
this- is this
g5
winning?
was his
g5,
had to be played one way or another.
Take or
Or bishop c4, I wasn't sure, because rook f7, rook b2, I couldn't find a killing blow, but after bishop c4 you cannot take on b2 because of bishop f7.
sorry, very slow. This is made somehow.
Well, I don't know if it mates, but it just wins.
Fair enough. Okay, so-
So there's no move after bishop c4.
Well, I mean, you can play king h8, rook f7, it's far from over. But at the same time, it's two rooks on the 7th, so can't be too bad.
So where do you think he made a mistake? Which one was the last mistake in this game?
Well, I mean,
The last one I can answer.
I mean, before that, if this position is that bad.
Well,
where
it's
could
not
he-
that bad, actually. But before that, I think b5 started all his problems, because then his knight on d5 couldn't really
Do you
get...
top players ever get tired of finding like new wrinkles in these anti-Berlin lines? Do you sometimes wish, like, why can't I study the Scandinavian a bit more?
Well, I mean, we can study Scandinavian a bit more, but it might not be too useful. So we've been particular and we study the Berlin.
I have a half-serious question related to this. You had this very nice idea against Giri in Paris's move Rook G1, which I didn't check.
We
I'm
really
assuming
like
it's
that
a
move.
novelty. Do you sometimes think about keeping your ideas for classical chess, or do you treat like Rapid the Grand Chess Tour, these events, just as if it was a classical tournament?
Well, it depends, of course, but here I just had the chance to play this move, and I assumed, the problem with hiding these ideas is if someone else ends up playing it first.
Right.
So you just wanted to make sure that you will be the first to
And
use it.
here it made a lot of sense given the tournament situation. If I won, I could still be striking distance of Hikaru and Magnus before the Blitz, so it made a lot of sense.
Okay.
How do you like these events, the Paris and the Leuven Grand Chess Tour? It's a different format. Do you prefer shorter format? Do you prefer rapid or blitz?
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's very different. I mean, I think, we can have both, and, having both rapid events, rapid combined with blitz, and also classical tournaments, it mixes things up. Also, here we're clearly taking more risks. We're still seeing a lot of Berlins, but maybe not as much, and, well...
And last question of the day, we are doing a survey on superstitions. Are you superstitious? Do you change clothes after you lost wearing them, or do you keep wearing them when you win, or do you just don't believe in any of it?
Well, clothes might be a stretch. We have some kind of routine that maybe will deviate from if we lose something like this, but in general, it's really not that much, I would say.
Thanks a lot, Maxime, and best of luck for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, everybody. Let's see if there is still a game going on between Carlsen and Caruana. Looks like it's heated up indeed.
Caruana, it might have changed since the last time we checked the position.
Rook a4, queen b5 was played, and d4. Whoa. How does that work?
D4.
He didn't play knight takes d4, which I don't understand. I guess it's some tactics. Bishop takes b4. Too complicated. This knight starts trouncing.
Check, and then you grab the bishop. Are we missing something?
No, you can't take the bishop because there is a back rank
Oh,
mate.
I've just blundered mate in one.
Yeah, no,
So-
maybe it wasn't so easy. d4, tricky move. Anyway, Fabiano decided not to capture but
Played
activate his queen.
E2, which
Queen
makes a
E2.
lot of sense. There are lots of ideas with queen e3, the knight is coming, knight f4, threatening mate on g2.
I like queen e5, controlling this diagonal, hitting the rook on b8. I have a feeling Fabiano might end up in trouble here. Queen e5, rook e8, and Magnus just calmly took on c5. So now he's currently 2 pawns up.
It seems, but at the same time, I would be a bit scared because of the queen on e2.
Yeah, but as long as the queen can maintain this diagonal, the king should be quite safe here. I guess black has to start grabbing pawns of his own, queen c2, no, rook b4, queen c5, and maybe such an endgame you can survive. You're slightly worse because of the
He has
fast b
played
pawn.
f6 instead of grabbing pawns.
He doesn't like pawns.
He doesn't like pawns. And I guess he wants to play knight f4 or knight d4 or knight somewhere active.
And Magnus is thinking where to put his queen. If he keeps on this diagonal, queen d6. I don't know. I have a computer running, so I'm not going to pretend to be that smart myself. The computer gives g5 here in order to...
And I think
Great
Anis
counterplay.
Giri is escaping from the commentary. We are really hoping to have him as a guest. But
Told you.
maybe it should be the next round because you are criticizing him all the time. So he is afraid of us.
He's not afraid, he's just punishing. So yeah, f6, g5. I'm not sure if this is Fabiano's plan. The all-seeing eye gives stuff like queen d3 and white is slightly better, but it just feels like Fabiano's really playing with fire here. He's sacrificed, or well, maybe this d4 caught him unawares. He has to build an initiative here. Tough word,
Yeah,
or he's just going to lose.
It seems
Queen
weird,
d6
but
on the board.
didn't he miss something? Because before I saw the thermometer on chess24 turning completely black almost. So that meant,
Completely black.
yeah, it was showing an advantage for black at some point. So was there any moment where he had a way to win the game?
I do not think so.
Maybe it was just a wrong evaluation.
Now they're properly low on time, 2 minutes left for both of them. Queen e3 check. But that forces the king to where it wants to go, I would guess king h2. No, I have a feeling Fabiano's been drifting for a bit now. Or, to put it more positively, Magnus has managed to pose problems from this position. King h2, knight f4. He's going for it.
I guess I just missed to see the thermometer correctly because now I can't find any moment where there was anything happening. So false alarm, Magnus Carlsen
Very
is
strong
in
move.
control of the game.
By Carlsen here, bishop c7 before black gets any ideas. With queen f2 threatening mate, he targets this knight, which can't really maintain his post. I guess this is checkmate. Somehow, maybe it's not actually. I was gonna say this must be checkmate, but the king runs away. So maybe it's not that easy.
It's not a clear position at all, and they are both under 2 minutes.
Probably Fabiano doesn't have a choice, but rook e4 unless it loses on the spot, because g5, queen f6 just doesn't work. You're not in time. Here takes and takes, or knight g6, and you're like 8 pawns down, so that's no good. But here, Compi wants to go here. This is clever, but hard to spot. Threatening rook a8 check. This seems to be very strong. But yeah, a lot of complicated stuff to calculate with very little time. Fabiano's thinking sometimes you can outcalculate yourself here. Maybe you should just blitz out rook e4 and hope that something goes wrong for Magnus. Maybe he's seen it all and he's looking for an alternative. But it might not be there. He's already burned all his bridges or given
He
up all
has
his
to
pawns.
take on e4 while other options he has. He cannot go passive by playing something like knight e6 or knight g6, then he doesn't have any compensation.
Yeah, maybe he's calculating some knight g2, but white has a little Zwischenschach, queen d5, and then I believe you just take...
Zwischenschach, I like that.
Ah, yeah, I think that's international chess lingo. What has he
Should
done?
be, should be.
He's
I'm
gone
just
knight
doing
e2,
knight
yeah?
e2, rook a1, and yeah, he was threatening a nice little mate in one on g1. Spotted by the world champion, he played rook a1.
Queen e4, but now there's... It's
And
not enough.
I think we'll have a guest, and I think Anish Giri is brave enough to parry your
How does
threat.
he have to be brave about it?
I think you will have a seat there. Yeah, we are having a talk show setting on the other one. So we have Anish Giri as a guest, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you will want to talk us about round 3's game, that beautiful victory against Hikaru Nakamura.
Yes, where is the game?
We will bring it up right now. And in the meantime, I let Jan talk about fashion.
About fashion, no, you're making too big a story of it. Like, I'm always complimentary of Anish's style. I just think this watch is too big. Like, that's the only issue. But
My arm
everything
is too
else, I
small.
get
We already
nothing but
discussed
praise
it
for.
many times. Yeah, Hikaru played h4
Was this a bit suicidal?
prematurely.
Was
Yeah,
H4
because you usually do this kind of things when the center is very stable.
Right.
And here, eventually, I got e5. Eventually, and this is what happens when you forget about some basic rules. And also, it's very unfortunate. After takes on f8, rook takes f8, knight takes d4 is a threat. In fact, he could have been justified. He told me after h4, if after h4 he would go h5, the next move.
You mean here?
Yes, e5. For example, takes 6, bishop d3. This would justify the idea because apparently after bishop e6, he has bishop takes g6.
Whoa, is this a perpetual?
I think so. Well, he told me that after he looked the game with the engine. It's not a perpetual actually, bishop h6, yeah, but bishop h6 is probably losing bishop h6.
Ah, bishop takes it.
Yeah. Okay, I think that black might have other options than bishop e6. For example, queen f6 maybe. But this is already not that clear.
More of
Some kind of
more
games,
messy at the very least.
and at the very least, he can always just castle whatever. It's not so dramatic anymore. So I was very lucky to win this game. I think I won because he lost first 2 games. He was very unhappy.
And after e5, it was all easy.
It was just very bad because
where you had doubts.
no, because after knight e5, yeah, basically it was not. And what is this position?
Yeah, I was curious, that's why
Yeah,
Who is,
we
who's to
were
move?
claiming
He
Fabi
was
doesn't have
saying-
enough, but
Oh, because I heard that after queen b5 when he played it, he had enough. And what happened there? Did he play
In
d4?
this position, yeah,
No,
queen
no,
b5?
yeah, what he played d4.
d4 was
What happens after
interesting.
queen
Computer
e2?
gives knight takes d4 and some weird lines with equality, but it's knight
What
d4,
if this is what Anand suggested? Bishop b4.
b4 and queen e2 apparently.
But why not queen e2 first? Or that's what he played?
He played queen e2, yeah.
That's what I thought as well, but it's
Queen
not
e5
working.
is quite strong,
Ah, okay.
covering.
Yeah, it's possible to miss because I also overlooked this move. And now he's
So this is the
lost
current
her.
position, and yeah, it seems
Who is to
that
move?
This is black to move.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he has everything under control with white, yeah.
Looks
Yeah,
like everything's
indeed.
covered. Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
So you can continue your superstition research.
I will definitely do so. Today's question is if the players are superstitious, and if you are, is it about clothing, objects, daily routine?
Yes and no. I do a few things on daily basis, like brushing my teeth, but I'm not sure it qualifies as superstition. I also like to dress up before the game, but it's also not really a superstition.
But
Do
do
you
you
have
change your
any
shirt
lucky
after you lose a
shirt
game, or do you not wear it again?
I change my shirts after every game that I
I think Anish
play.
never wears the same shirt in the same event. I mean,
Well, let's say you lose a
that
game.
would-
Do you ever wear that shirt again, or like is it banned?
I would run out of shirts.
Burn.
I'm not that solid as you think.
Okay, well, maybe
No,
you
this is not.
come to grab.
I'm curious because I know many players who wear same shirts, but then I wonder maybe they have many, many
You can do it
same
like me,
shirts.
Just own one white shirt and pretend you change every day.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
solves
This
all the
works well with white shirts. Yeah. At some point it becomes yellow though.
problems. Even then.
what do you do during events like this? Like, how shall we imagine your day when you are not in the
Well,
playing
trying
hall?
not to prepare too much. Try to have some rest.
Hang on. This game has turned around. Yes,
I
something
think
happened.
that
Seriously?
is it
Bishop
queen on e4?
d6, rook e5.
Looks
Bishop
completely.
d6 was a blunder apparently.
Magnus Carlsen has blundered.
Bishop g3 was winning according to the computer cheating I'm doing here. But
So
bishop
black is
d6,
winning now
rook
or
e5.
not? After bishop d6, he can still take on e2 or not?
What's going on? Is he getting mated?
No, queen f4. This apparently
King
is winning.
King g1, queen's.
Queen d4.
Okay.
As
So
mentioned, I'm plugged
rook
in.
e5 already wins, yeah?
Yeah, now all of a sudden looks like Hikaru Fabiano is winning rook
Wow,
f1
this is beautiful, yeah.
and rook g2, knight d4, and
Wow,
this king is
wow. Such
unprotected.
strong moves for
Wow.
rapid. It's
Beautiful
brilliant.
geometry. Yeah? Like
Please,
everything
with
covered.
1 minute on the clock, and now Magnus Carlsen shaking his head. He is in the last position. Can we have the actual position on the board?
I believe this. Oh no, they've made more moves. Sorry. Wow, they've made a lot more moves.
Magnus
he
Carlsen
resigned,
resigns.
Whoa, that's a big turnaround.
It is. We expected Magnus to win this game. He was putting a lot of pressure on Fabiano. How did you see this game?
Well, I think it happens in rapid. It happens if you get a little bit tired. So I'll go get some rest in order for me not to
Right,
get the same thing in the next round.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you for
Kiri.
joining
That's a
us.
lot.
Wow.
Big comeback for Fabiano Caruana, and of course that was a big point from. Yeah, maybe I was too hypnotized by the computer, which gave like white is winning, but over the board, of course, there's many resources.
Not
and
an easy position. So
this
where
was a great
the
idea.
mistake? Where was the
No, I think he
critical
missed rook
moment?
e5. Because yeah, if this bishop goes all the way back, then white seems to be in control. But after rook e5, very, very clever, cutting off
Can
this
we
diagonal.
have the board back of Carlsen Caruana so that we can wrap it up, and if we can have the chessboard on the screen?
Looks like no chessboard, so there we are.
Yeah, we just wanted to wrap up what happened. So rook e5 must have been the move that Magnus Carlsen missed. Beautiful idea. So if bishop takes, then let's just put it on
Yeah,
the
it's
board.
just-
Queen takes, knight g3, wins the rook, and protects the knight on g3 at the same time. So after rook e5, there's no way to survive.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, maybe rook f2 is still keeping the position alive. But of course, it's a big achievement for black to have activated that much. And here, queen e3, you already need nerves of steel. And after rook f3, yeah, this is very strange, but it seems to be just winning for black. There's no way to defend against this. And then queen and knight, as we know, are a very strong attacking tandem. So the rest.
Wow, very nice finish by Fabiano Caruana, who spotted this idea of rook e5, activating the rook. Wow.
What does that mean for the standings? Let's have a brief look at the standings.
That means that we have Fabiano Caruana as the leader of the event with 6 out of 8. Every victory counts for 2 points, so that's why it's 6 points out of 8, followed by Veselin Topalov and Vishy Anand, 5 points each, and Magnus Carlsen dropped back to 50%.
Big turnaround there from what looked like a nice position for Magnus, but great fighting spirit and resources by Fabiano.
Exactly, and after this game he will have to face Hikaru Nakamura with the black pieces. Nakamura, who started very badly with 3 defeats, but now made a solid draw against Vishy Anand, and he might just be back on track trying to beat Magnus with the white pieces.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. Stay tuned. The next round starts at, what time does it start?
8 o'clock.
So brief break, get a coffee, watch your favorite telenovela if it doesn't take longer than 50 minutes.
And play some
See you guys
blitz
soon.
games on Chess24, and also participate in the predictions game. So on chess24.com you have the option of winning some brilliant prizes like Jan's signature mug by guessing these final standings of your next move Grand Chess Tour. So go to chess24.com, find the event and click on the predictions tab to participate and win lots of prizes. We'll back at 8 Central European time.